What is popping in your lives today? IRACING here, back today with a brand new video series. I will be covering the 2023-2024 Thrustmaster iRacing Sprint Car Series run on the iRacing platform. This series includes 35 of the best 410 wing sprint car drivers that iRacing has to offer, and I will be going over Race 3 that was run at Williams Grove Speedway on Monday, November 27th. I will also have a quick conversation with second-year driver Tanner Miller. Taking a look after the first two races, which were held at Volusia and Weedsport, Alex Bergeron got 2 wins in a row and has had a dominant start. He has 155 points. Second is Tanner Petit. He had a second place finish last week at Weedsport. He is 30 points back from the lead. James Eden sits in third with 34 points trailing. Fourth is Evan C., 37 points back, and fifth is Ryan Avila, 40 points behind the lead.
Looking into the heat races, only 4 lock themselves into the feature while the rest have to earn their way in through the last chance qualifiers. Heat race number 1 saw some drama early as championship leader Alex Bergeron was involved in an incident with Clayton Davies and Lane Snook that took him out of the transfer battle. Timothy Smith was able to stay clean and take the first heat. Second place was Aiden Forster, third Ross Kaiser, fourth Blake Majulis, fifth was Hayden Cardwell. Heat race number 4 saw exciting racing for the lead and the transfer spot, but ultimately Evan C. was able to take the win with Sean English in second. Logan Rumsey was battling for the lead but shuffled back to third. Fourth place was Kenny Hoffman, and just missing out was fifth place Tanner Petit. Heat race number 3 saw some 3-wide racing for the transfer spot early on, and Braden Eilert benefited from it. Noah Carpenter was able to pull away from all this madness and take away the heat win. Second was Kendall Tucker, third Braden Eiler, fourth James Edens, and fifth was James Lindgren. Heat race number 4 was down to the wire for the transfer spot, but Tyler Schell had an easy run to win this heat race. Second was Ryan Avila, third J.D. Brown, fourth Nathan Vandywacker, and fifth was Matt Powell. There are 2 last chance qualifier events for every race, and only the top 2 in both make up the final spots in the feature event. In the first LCQ of the night, Alex Bergeron had to pass 5 cars to make the feature and had no luck. The battle was up front, and it was a 3-car battle between Hayden Cardwell, Joey Lindgren, and Lane Snook. Cardwell and Lindgren were able to hang on up front and transfer. Third place was Lane Snook, fourth Garrett Halsey, and fifth was Cameron Pritchard. For LCQ number 2, we saw 3-wide racing early as everyone was fighting to get into the top 2. Brett Strickler sent a shot into 3 and took out Tyler Ducharme and Casey Simons, which opened the door for Tanner Miller in the middle. However, Aiden Bierlein and Tanner Petit were smooth up front and able to transfer to the feature. Third was Matthew Powell, fourth Kenny Miller, and fifth was Brett Strickler. For the feature, we saw Timothy Smith and Evan C. start up front for 35 laps of action. The opening lap saw drivers spreading all over the racetrack, with Smith keeping the lead. Early on, Tyler Schell was hounding C as Forrester was contesting him for third as well. A few laps later, Schell was able to move into the second position, with Carpenter following in third. Carpenter quickly was able to move into second over Schell, trying to chase down leader Timothy Smith. A great battle to watch during this race was between Braden Eiler and Sean English as they battled for 7th. But with all the shuffling going on in the back, Timothy Smith was well ahead and took the victory in Race 3 of the iRacing Thrustmaster Sprint Car Series. Taking a look at the top 10, second place was Noah Carpenter, third place was Evan C., fourth was Ryan Avila, good run from him, fifth place we saw Tyler Schell, sixth we saw Aiden Forster, he slipped back there, seventh was Logan Rumsey, which was an impressive run with only using one hand tonight. 8th place was J.D. Brown, 9th was James Eden, and rounding out the top 10 was Kendall Tucker. Now, the top 5 in points certainly has changed compared to what we saw at the beginning of the show. Taking first place was Evan C. He has 190 points. Second place, we have Noah Carpenter trailing by 6 points. Third was Ryan Avila, 7 points back. Fourth place, 18 points back, was James Edens. And rounding out the top 5 is Tyler Schell.
Alright, joining me now is a driver in the Thrustmaster Series competing in his second season. He drives the number 9 Scott Thomason Racing entry located out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It is Tanner Miller, also known as T-Millie Racing on YouTube. Tanner, great to have you on the show tonight. A rough night at the Grove, but talk a bit about the track and the racing you saw.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. Tonight when we got out on the track, it was super bumpy, and we had prepped for it to be a smooth track like the previous 2 weeks, and went out for time trial, didn't run the right line, didn't run the right set, just set us up for a bad night overall, and you can kind of see how the rest of the night went.
Yeah, a lot of drivers mentioned how rough it was out there. Mentioned you weren't really sure what iRacing was going to give you on the track. So is that something that was a little bit unprecedented that we've seen in other races?
Yeah, so typically iRacing has control to do what they want. Track state, do they want to give us a chance to warm up before the race? Do they want to reset the track? Basically do prep for the track. And this week put us in the lobby, and we all thought it was going to be smooth, and it was just the bumpiest I've ever seen it on the game. Like any official that I've raced, any hosted lobby I've raced, any league race, it was just insane how it was this week.
Yeah, definitely a lot of people were fighting for everything they could get tonight. And obviously, we'd love to see you fighting for a championship as we go into Charlotte. But looking at other competitors, who are you seeing as potential championship people or dark horses that people aren't really thinking about? Everybody's looking to Alex Bergeron, maybe Tyler Schell, the people that have won the championships. But who in your eyes do you see on the track that really impresses you?
Yeah, man. Obviously, I'm cheering for Bergeron. I see he fell back to, I think, seventh in points if everything updated correctly. Um, but my dark horse, I'd have to say probably Tanner Pettit. He's been running well. He's actually really surprised me this year. I thought it was going to be his teammate, Aiden Forster. That's a guy I typically study from a week-to-week basis, man. He's been really good. And Noah Carpenter, he's really came onto the scene. He's just, I don't know where that kid came from, but he's doing a phenomenal job this year. Trying to think of who else. I mean, Evan C, he's up there in points right now. I guess he could go back to back from the late mile series. So it's really up in there at this point, but I'm probably going to go with Aiden Forster this year as my dark horse.
Fair enough, fair enough. And looking more ahead to the future, next week we have a home track for you, Lincoln Speedway as well. You got a solid top 10 run there last year. How are you feeling? What are your expectations for next week and then finishing out the year?
Yeah, so if you look back last year at Lincoln, I think we get our only top 10 of the season. Kind of got lucky with the accident at the end of the race with Timothy Smith and Bergeron. But in our Road to Pro Series this year was honestly our worst track. Spun out, couldn't get the car moving, and it really affected, everything, how I thought of the track. So it's really mixed feelings at this point. I'm not sure what we want to do this week, how we're going to set the car up for the race. But just hoping to make it in this year. And the rest of the year, it looks like we're going to try to make the top 15 in points. I think we dropped back to 22nd. We're about 30 points away from that. So if we can make majority of the shows the rest of the year, should be good to go.
Awesome, awesome. And any last minute shout outs you got for the show?
Yeah, man, I just want to say thank you to Aces Up Sim Sports, Scott Thomason Racing, the Buck Stops Here, Process of Illumination, Chad, Scott, Bruce, and the whole team. Just thank you for coming out and supporting this pro season.
All right, and we thank you for joining us. Thank you guys for tuning into the show. Make sure to tune in next week. We'll be covering every week unless something crazy pops up. So thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Thanks, guys.